That, okay. Great, thank you, Jesse. All right, welcome everybody to the September 15th Caroline Town Board meeting being held by Zoom video conference, and it is being recorded. I heard Jesse just start up the recording and it will be posted on the website. So without further ado, I'll ask if anybody wishes to address the board at privilege of the floor. Either wave your real hand or your blue Zoom hand or whatever. All right. Not seeing any hands of any kind, so I will begin the meeting and ask if there are any additions or deletions for the meeting. The one addition I'll make is to just a resolution to offer approval of the memorandum of understanding that I shared with you, the approval of that for me to sign that that document. So I will offer. Great. I'll offer that later in the meeting. So.
Oh, sorry. Thought you were offering it there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I probably could, but I'll hold off. So
I'll contain myself.
Yeah, Jesse will remind me. I'll let you have the honors on that one, John. So.
No, I feel like it's a jump ball situation, Mark. It's okay.
All right. So with that, I will offer my report for tonight's for this month. There's a lot going on, so I'm happy to report that we did get 20 street lights up, changed out to LEDs, and they are controlled as a temporary measure by solar sensors. So we can't really modify them now, but they are. I'll tell you, the day after they went in, I got calls from 2 residents who were concerned about the brightness. And so I did drive around that night to look at them all, and I was really impressed. They are a different color. So sodium vapor lights are very yellow, as you know. So they're a bluer, whiter light, but they're the warmest color that we could get. They're 3000 Kelvin. And once we get the cellular modules in place on those, then we can also modify the brightness. We'll have some control on them. But anyway, so I think they look good and I'm excited, and I have not yet received word on when these mysterious cellular modules might appear, and I'll keep you updated on that. But Tim.
Mark, would you mind just sending us a few addresses where these are located so we might shoot by and check?
Sure, you can. 3 of them are right in Slaterville Springs. One of them is at the town hall parking lot. It's the one on the edge of the parking lot, right there, at the front. And there's another one on Slaterville Road at the base of Buffalo Road. And then there's another one on the right-hand side of the road as you're heading east, where Harford Road tees off. So those are 3 that are easy to spot. So yeah, but I can send you the list of all 20 if you want to. They're really, you can definitely pick them out when you drive around. They're easy to pick up. So I have been doing tentative budget work, and I will share that with you tonight, or work on the tentative budget, and I'll share that with you tonight. The stair glide is scheduled for installation in the Old Town Hall tomorrow morning, so that's exciting. Looking forward to that. I just offered an update on the JCAP grant application for the security system. I was assured that the changes had been made. Some changes had been made that no longer designated court, but they were very simple. It said room or whatever. And anyway, we didn't really have an engaged conversation about the shared use of the building that I thought would have been helpful for the application. And I do think that that may be something we may want to do. I know that, reading the application materials that you can find online, they say the court will follow up and may have conversations with the town if they have questions about it. So any thoughts you have about that, I welcome those. I also did share our key policy, our building and grounds policy with the justices, and requested keys for any locks that they've changed or that they have, rooms that they have sole possession of. I haven't heard anything. And so, yeah, I welcome any advice on next steps there. Rick Morgan has been in touch with both myself and Bobby about a dry hydrant on McGrath Road. So he's provided us some cost estimates for materials, and we don't have, I think originally when we set up that budget line it was under community services to support dry hydrants. It was for engineering work. I feel like this is a project that will benefit the town as a whole. And so I think the price seems very reasonable. And so I guess I will also ask tonight for your opinion and approval of the town supporting that financially to the amount that Rick provided us. As you know, there was some concern about the detour, or the non-detour, but the diverted traffic onto Bald Hill Road. So Bobby and the county highway superintendent, Jeff Smith, did make some changes and to indicate local traffic only. And so that seems to have been a constructive move. Corey is addressing the land disturbance on Midar Road. I don't know if all of you have looked at that, but it's, so I haven't, he did go out last week and spoke with the people doing the work, asked them to, button it up and secure it with mulch and stop work. So as far as I can tell, that has happened. I did look today. It certainly looks like it's a greater than 1 acre land disturbance to me. And that would put it subject to site plan review and therefore subject to the moratorium. So I'll be following up with Corey to make sure that we respond appropriately. I have been working with other supervisors and planners. We've been meeting for a while now on the easement agreement. And Catherine attended a couple of those meetings for use of the NYSEG property, and we're making headway. So, and then Cal pointed out that the porch and deck rails at the town hall were getting rather weathered. So, and then Beth and Greg steered me to Tyler Mix, and he's doing the work, and he'll be managing I think a probation crew to do the work there. So he already did some power washing, and weather permitting, he plans to do some painting on Monday and then some more power washing. And so the rain is not making it easy right now. So, but that's exciting. And then not on the printed report that I gave you, only because it's late breaking. So right at 5:30 today, I did meet with other supervisors who are designated for the governor's shared services panel. As we've done previously, that's how it's constituted. So it was the initial meeting for this, convened by Hendricks at the county. So we just tossed around ideas for shared services. These are supposed to be cost-saving measures that are implemented in the next calendar year. So we tossed around a bunch of ideas, IT, shared IT services, shared procurement, I thought was a good one. Someone I brought this up before in previous meetings, the idea of shared services with highway departments where you could share heavy equipment that's extremely expensive and periodically used. Broadband came up, and centralized court arraignment was an idea. Yeah, those are the ones that I remember. So if you do have any suggestions, then send them my way and I'll bring them to the next meeting. We have to do this really fast. We're supposed to present it to the legislature by November 4th. And this plan has to be done by the end of this calendar year. So it's going to be November 4th is not very far away, as you probably realize. So that's my report, and I welcome any questions or feedback.
Mark, can you offer a bit more about where you are with the trail?
Yeah, so the current thinking is to, there are a couple things that need to be done. The immediate thing we were working on, as you know, was the easement agreement, which is a new, better arrangement. It's an agreement in perpetuity for use of the property as a trail. And so we've been discussing doing this in a collaborative way so that the four towns might co-sign. We haven't decided on this, but this is something we're discussing with NYSEG's legal team to see if that would work, or if that would be too complicated. I actually think it would be okay if each town signed. The trail is either in one town or another, wherever it goes. And so, it's sort of a jurisdictional issue there. But I think they felt like it might, doing it as a team might be a better thing. So any thoughts you have on that, I welcome them. So that is very distinct from how the trail management or construction of the trail would be shared. That's a different thing. So, and that's also, it brings it to the surface though. So we're discussing that as well. And so the last proposal was Joel and Danby suggested that we split up any cost sharing based on proportional representation by households within a half mile distance perpendicular to the trail. I don't know of any models for that. I think there are other ways to do it. It seems Scott Doyle did work up some numbers, and it works about it comes up about evenly for Caroline, Danby, and Dryden. And then, or excuse me, Caroline, Town of Ithaca, and Danby. Dryden has a very small portion of the whole thing. So, and so that's,
I'll get back to you with after the edits for the agreement.
we haven't heard back from NYSEG, from the attorney. So that's where Bill is going to try to press them. The next meeting's in 2 weeks. So hopefully we can have feedback by then from NYSEG on that. So yeah, no, haven't heard back on that, which is frustrating, but it's summertime, I think. I don't know, whatever. But yeah.
Thank
Tim, did you have a question or no? Okay.
Adjusting lighting.
Great. Any other questions about that or anything else? Great. Okay. I will move on and so I'll call for a report from Jesse. Jesse, do you have anything you want to offer us?
Just quickly, I'll let the board know that the total fees collected in August was $1,660, and a check went to the supervisor on September 7th, and been busy with hunting licenses. And there have been 47 dog renewals, 8 building permits, and 7 hunting licenses that were sold in August. So that's it.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Jesse? Great.
Thank you for bringing in all those dog licenses.
No problem.
All right, so it's now time for the highway superintendent's report. He did send us, Bobby can't attend tonight, but he sent us a written report. So I'll just read through it quickly. He noted the new signs installed on Bald Hill to deter traffic. One of the signs is really big. Woodland Road was paved. Snyder Hill was paved. Middaugh Road is scheduled for paving in late September. Chestnut Road is scheduled for paving in late September. And they're currently working on ditching and ditch stabilization on Chestnut Road in preparation for paving. Equipment coming, new loaders scheduled for late September delivery, new 10-wheeler snow plow truck scheduled for tentative delivery at the end of September also, but waiting to hear or get confirmation. And then his final note is that the new bench for Dallas Mica will be delivered in the next couple of days. And he's working with Sean Jordan to install it in the Speedsville Community Park. And he's going to arrange a get together with Dallas's family when they get it set up. So that's nice. All right, that brings us to the county representatives report. Hey, Dan.
Hello there. Good evening. I have several meaty items for you. Maybe tofu-y items is the right thing to say. Okay, first of all, we've started our budget season, and it's kind of a tough budget for a lot of reasons, you know, pretty much COVID related. So a lot more to come about that, but I'll just give you the real quick highlights. The current proposal is for a 2.7% increase in the tax levy. That would come out to $42 for a median priced home in Tompkins County, a $42 increase. And a median price home is now $205,000. So more to come about budget. But one piece of the budget is the sales tax. And I just wanted to mention, so for the last 5 months, the sales tax numbers have been coming in really well. And they've been matching almost exactly the numbers we got in 2019, pre-pandemic. And they match so exactly that we are starting to wonder if there's something wrong here, if the state is just estimating, which they do. They make adjustments all the time. Several months down the line, they'll go back and give you more money or less money. But these last 5 months have matched that 2019 graph so closely that we really, really doubt it. And we really hope that when they do adjust it, it's not, as negative. It's not very negative.
Yeah.
So that's mixed. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nothing, Dan. I just said, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Okay, it just came out of a meeting where we finalized something we've been discussing for a few months, and I mentioned it here before, where the county took the ARPA money, the American Recovery Plan money, and we did some fancy accounting with it, but we did that with the understanding that we were going to get a lot of that money out into the community relatively soon. And so we spent a lot of time talking about it, how much, how, when, all that kind of stuff. And what we just decided was we're going to allocate up to $7 million. That's going to go out soonish. We have to develop a plan, a procedure, I guess. You can imagine $7 million, accepting grants, screening the grants, awarding the grants, and then accounting and legal work, all the stuff that goes along with managing a grant still has to be worked out. So don't know exactly when, exactly how, but we finally decided on the amount. So you'll be hearing more about that as time goes on. Well, let's see, I guess, I want to mention the redistricting. So I've also mentioned this here before, every 10 years, it's a census, and the only political districts in the county that are tied to geography. Let me try that again. So in Caroline, each one of you is a Caroline at-large representative. You represent the entire town. But as you know, the county legislature, we have geographic districts, and the city has their geographic districts. So we, the county, are starting up our redistricting commission pretty soon to redraw those lines. And we have an independent redistricting commission. And so at this moment, we're accepting applications for anyone that wants to be on it. It's an interesting, it's a volunteer position, kind of an interesting process for some people. So if you're interested in that, get in touch very soon. And the last item I wanted to mention.
Dan?
Yes, sure. Go ahead, Tim.
And is my understanding is it could not be an elected official to be on that commission, is that right?
Oh, yes, you are right. Yes, thank you.
And I assume that also means elected party officials as well, probably, right?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry. Okay, the last item I wanted to touch on is maybe going to be a little controversial. Might raise a few eyebrows. It's about broadband. And as you know, the county is partway through a broadband study, and there's been a lot of negative feedback from the towns that are in a advisory group, an advisory committee, I think is the name of the group. It's a TCOG group, and it's not clear exactly what the expectations were of some of the towns and how we're missing those expectations, how we're not meeting them. And some very strong feelings from some people that we're not doing what the towns were hoping. So we are planning on returning the money that each of the towns pledged to the study. So town of Caroline, among several other towns, each pledged $5,000 towards the study. We haven't collected that money yet, so it hasn't left your budget yet. And so we're going to send you a nice note that says, thank you, but hold on to your money. We're going to do the study the way we've been doing it. Hopefully it comes up with some information that is going to be really helpful. In fact, I'm confident it will. I don't know if it's going to come up with all the information we were hoping for. And, I want to state the obvious. the information that we're getting from this study is for the benefit of the residents of the county, including the town of Caroline. So there's, you know, I hope and believe that the town of Caroline residents are going to benefit from this, and they just saved $5,000 in town taxes.
Great.
Thank you.
That's my report.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. I guess I would like to ask you, I mean, I'm one of the supervisors who did speak about that. So, and I think the disappointment was, you know, and yeah, so, and maybe it's, you know, based on superficial understanding or incomplete understanding. But by the, you know, we got the memo from Katie, and it just felt like that at that point, the decision had been made not to pursue the sort of novel construct of a middle mile project, a municipally owned middle mile thing, which was what, maybe it was pie in the sky or whatever, but I mean, so I guess I had just hoped to have, me personally, I had hoped to have a fuller conversation about, you know, not just a cost, not just saying this looks cost prohibitive, but to have a fuller conversation to say, does this look promising enough that we want, you know, that we're willing to front the upfront money for the long-term benefit, for a better solution that controls costs for the consumers and provides service throughout the county. So, you know, so I know that. So anyway, that was my reaction, and I think from what others said, they were concerned that the approach, you know, the census block approach is acknowledged to be crude, and so they felt like that the study was missing. It was way underestimating the population of residences that were unserved or underserved, and so. So those are two things, I guess. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that. Or
I do. Concerning the second thing you said, I agree. Everyone agrees. I think that it's really the census block method is so deeply flawed as to not be very helpful. And so I'm definitely interested in finding a solution to that. I think the solutions are out there. It's actually not that complicated. So yes, I am committed to pushing for that also. Concerning the first part, we haven't completely abandoned the idea of a middle mile, municipally owned or not. The first set of results from the study showed that the little pockets of completely unserved, at least ones that they could find, unserved houses in the county are very remote. They're almost all in Caroline, Danby, and Newfield, and they're very isolated from each other. And so just a back of the envelope way of thinking about it, trying to like build middle mile to all those little remote pockets. We were talking, I believe it was in the $10 to $20 million range. Does that sound right, Mark? Were you there at that?
I'm not aware of that number. I don't think I was aware of it. No.
Okay, so that caused everyone's jaw to drop.
Yeah.
And so what we did was we said, okay, let's pause for a second here and rethink this a little bit. And so at the moment, we're trying a different approach, which I actually want to tell you about in just a minute. There is a little piece I forgot to tell you. But we're going to check this other approach out that's going to be much, much cheaper. And if that approach doesn't seem to pan out either, we haven't abandoned the other idea yet. We just needed to examine another avenue or two first. And even though the price tag on that thing is so high, you know, I keep reminding everybody this, that there's a ton of broadband grant money out there.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to pay $10 to $20 million. We could, that's more than we can afford, but that doesn't mean we should abandon the idea. Can I say one more thing about broadband?
Absolutely. You can say lots of things.
Okay. So yeah, I actually meant to mention this. So the other approach we're taking is talking to the existing providers and seeing, well, what would it take for you to build out to all these areas? Tell us what the price tag is. Doesn't matter if it's ridiculously high, because again, there's all this grant money out there. And so, you know, would you, and how much? So we're still gathering that information. And as part of that, I guess, or maybe it's sort of a parallel track, the town of Newfield hired Chuck Bartosh, our old friend, to survey their whole town. And he came up with a area of 180 homes in Newfield that he said he could build out to for about $275,000. And, you know, in the scheme of things, that's pretty cheap. And so the county actually is going to chip in money for that. So we're going to chip in $75,000, roughly a quarter of the project, to provide broadband to 180 new homes in Newfield. So it's not an ideal situation. It's still that guy. It's still the one company.
Yeah.
Not its limitations. But if I was one of those 180 homes, I would be very happy right now.
And I'm just curious, do you know what type of system he's using? Is he using sort of the Wi-Fi sightline system, or is he doing fiber optic?
It's all fiber now from now on for him.
That's great.
Yeah. And he's got a new company, by the way. So I'm not sure Clarity Connect exists anymore. If it does, I think it's just like the maintenance and billing of the old ones. The new company is called Point Broadband, and they're all fiber.
Okay. Yeah, I think Katie mentioned some of that in her note, and I think she'd mentioned maybe that Lee Hafley was going to apply for a grant that would include some Caroline. Do you know if that's true or happening, or?
I don't know if that's true. I know that he is applying for something. I don't know what it is. I don't have those details. I think, are we meeting tomorrow, the broadband committee, or meeting soon, I think, right? Or maybe it's next week. Anyway, I don't have those specifics. Yeah, we're meeting tomorrow
Okay.
at noon. So maybe we'll find out more then.
Okay. Great. Good. Well, thank you. And, you know, I guess maybe a part of the frustration, you know, like, you know, it kind of seems to me like maybe part of it is a communication issue where I haven't, you know, gotten a download from our representative really, or so, but I do appreciate that the county is digging in and working hard on this. So please convey that to the group.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions for Dan? Great.
It's only 7:30, so I think we should spend another couple hours asking Dan questions because he's not used to leaving so early.
Not leaving. I'll stick around until you do the warrants and then I'm leaving. That's just not interesting enough.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Thanks so much, Dan.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any committee or liaison updates? Tim?
Zoning Commission met last night and we'll meet again on September 28th. The meetings have been moved to 7:15. They're running from 2 so that we can run them for 2 hours, 7:15 to 9:15, in hopes of getting a little bit more accomplished. Last night we had actually a very productive meeting, rehearsing potential scenarios for what would be called an agriculture district, what would be included in one, what wouldn't, which is kind of would be the largest potential district in the town. That went very well. So the members of the commissions are starting to get into specifics. We're hoping to have 3 more meetings going through specifics of potential scenarios to have enough of a potential template to then have a public meeting to have something to actually present and discuss with the public. And so that's hopefully going to be in I suspect it'll be in early November is my hunch. It could be late October. But based on how, just the tempo with which things are going. But I think by that time, then the group will have had enough interaction and discussed enough specifics and understand them well enough that it could then have a very informative discussion with the public about what possibilities there are. That's, I think it, Catherine.
Question about the ag district. Are you, in terms of just language, did it come up at all? That phrase that already is in existence, I assume you don't mean that the ag districts that we actually have already in the town.
I mean, this would be, in other words, the current thinking is there might be 3 potential districts. One would be an overall ag district. One would be not villages, but what is Brookton? What do we call those? Hamlet districts, and then a potential minor commercial district. So, but it doesn't double or contradict or compromise the state ag districts.
Right. I just want to clarify if it hasn't come up already, you know, that could be confusing.
Or, I mean, a
If you
planner we
live in an
hired
ag- in the
is an ag specialist. Yeah, our planner is an ag specialist, and so there's not likely to be any confusion about that once she's.
Maybe we'll have to name them something else, though.
I'm just reflecting on the, you know, the most recent feedback from the individual with the rooster, and there was a lot of confusion about where that person lived. So
Yeah.
Well, and of course, really what we're talking about is farming. We're not talking about individual roosters when it comes to the ag district. We're talking about the right to farm and the need to protect the right to farm with some zoning implements. So that's really different from having a rooster in your backyard. And that will be something that can be discussed in relationship to the hamlets down the road. And it's unlikely, I can't even imagine the town of Caroline prohibiting small animals in yards as the zoning moves forward. So I think it'll be a non-issue. But we realize that it's funny because roosters did come up last night as an example of noise from large farming, like huge rooster farming. so rooster noise actually did come up, but not in a negative way, just in a descriptive way.
103 decibels.
Yeah.
Depends on how close you are to the rooster. So
Yeah.
But I can see the nomenclature, I think, that Catherine brought up, just like, you know, like could confuse people. So.
Yep. And this is all the kind of stuff that we certainly will take into consideration.
Yep.
So as not to confuse anybody. So it's starting to really move forward, which is very good.
Great. I will point out, I mentioned it last night to the group, and I'll send an email to them again, but I did print out 11 by 17 sets of the 4, you know, there are 6 maps, but 4 scenarios that Nan put out for the group to look at. So they're really nice. So if I know some of the members kind of wanted something physical to
Old.
Yeah, to draw on or so anyway, we have those at the town hall.
And I might mention, which I forgot to mention, I think all of you might have seen this, that Patrick Braga, who we had appointed to planning and zoning, left the town almost as quickly as he moved in. So he resigned from both the planning board and the zoning commission. To
Went
move
back to Detroit. Yes, yeah. Great,
Yeah, I was
thanks.
sorry to see that.
Yeah. Any other committee or John? Yeah.
Just a short one. It looks like we have a rescheduled date for the meeting with LaBerge for the highway facilities, and it looks like that will be next Wednesday at 3:30. I'm just waiting for one more confirmation. on that.
Okay. And are you thinking you want to make that a hybrid meeting, John, or?
I don't know. I think LaBerge is, at least when we last talked, is feeling like there's some things that it's helpful to actually be together to look at, that it's a
Mhm.
little bit easier.
Sure.
And so I guess I would leave that up to the people that are attending if they're comfortable with that and kind of go from there.
Okay. The responses I saw sounded like they were comfortable.
Yeah, I haven't seen them all yet, other than just sort of yes, 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 but I haven't read all of the full emails. So I think,
Okay.
yeah, that's likely what we'll end up doing, is meeting in person.
Great. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Before we, okay, well, with that, let's launch into the action topics. So the first resolution that I guess I'll go ahead and put forward is reaffirming Town of Caroline COVID safety policies. Whereas the COVID-19 pandemic is ongoing and new cases are increasing, whereas basic precautionary measures are known to be effective in reducing virus transmission, and whereas the Town of Caroline Board implemented COVID safety measures in both its reopening plan and COVID-19 safety guidelines. Therefore, be it resolved, the Caroline Town Board hereby reaffirms the following protocols for town departments to protect and promote the welfare of both employees and the public. All town personnel and visitors, regardless of vaccination status, shall wear masks in all town buildings, in town vehicles, and on work sites. When more than one individual is present and 6-foot distancing cannot be maintained. 2, frequently touched surfaces will be wiped with antiseptic wipes at first entry, when necessary throughout the day and at daily office closing. 3, employees who feel sick are required to stay home. And if an employee has been in close contact with a confirmed or suspected COVID-19 case, they will be required to quarantine. And 4, each department will maintain a visitor log to facilitate contact tracing. And I think that would be people who, I think the threshold they use is someone who's there for 10 minutes or more. So I think, but anyway, I think keeping a visitor log will be a good process to have, so that if something happens, the health department can track people down. So Tim,
Have we
first of
clarified
all,
what-
before we do I have a second on that?
Second,
Okay, go ahead.
have we clarified whether there would be a visitor's log in the court?
I think, well, the last time I checked, they were keeping one. And the other thing I would say is that they probably have, yeah. So we can follow up on that, what their process is. But I think they probably have a good record of people who come to visit the court as well. So
I bet they do.
yeah. So this resolution was split out from the one kind of that John originally proposed, as a separating the vaccination testing from the safety protocols. So great. So if there any further comments or questions, I'll call for a vote. All right. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, unanimous. And the next resolution, do you want to offer this one, John? Or I'm happy to, but either way.
I don't have it right open in front of me, Mark, so go right ahead.
Okay, I'll go right ahead. I'll offer this resolution approval of testing or vaccination of by town employees. Whereas vaccination is highly effective at preventing infection by COVID and in breakthrough cases, reducing the severity of the disease. And whereas the Delta variant of COVID virus has been demonstrated to put both vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals at higher risk of contracting COVID. And whereas the town of Caroline has a duty to provide a safe work environment and to enact policies that have been demonstrated to decrease the risk of COVID exposure within the community. And whereas the governor of New York State and the president of the United States have recommended that local municipalities implement testing vaccination policies for the public welfare, therefore be it resolved, the Caroline Town Board hereby approves piggybacking on Tompkins County's testing vaccination program to require employees to undergo weekly surveillance testing as recommended by the Tompkins County Health Department or be fully vaccinated for COVID-19. And further be it resolved, the Caroline Town Board authorizes the supervisor to collaborate with the county to establish testing procedures for employees who are not vaccinated. Do I have a second? Seconded by John, and discussion.
My only comment is super silly, but the word piggybacking just kind of like rings in my ear in a funny way. Like if we could say something like corresponding with, or in concert with, or like as determined by the county. Like I don't know.
Okay.
Piggybacking.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's a real word.
It's a known expression, but I agree with Catherine.
I don't know. Otherwise, yes.
So how about the Caroline Town Board hereby approves collaborating or
Just joining, aren't we joining with our
Yeah,
county?
okay. Okay, that's great. I will note that the last time I can't remember if I spoke with or emailed Amy Hendricks, who's doing a lot of this legwork. She said the legislature would either be voting on, the resolution and contract. It might either the 21st or it could be the 5th of October. So it's still sort of pending.
But then does this matter? I'm glad Dan just showed, I was going to ask you, Dan, do you have a sense of like, if it doesn't, I can't imagine it wouldn't pass, but let's say it doesn't pass, does that change our, like what happens to this?
It's scheduled for next Tuesday, the 21st, and it will pass. As we've already, I don't know anyone that's opposed to it.
Great.
I will, if I can mention one other thing though.
Please.
When it was first proposed to us in August or so, at that time, the federal reimbursement for all testing was scheduled to expire, I think around maybe October 1st or something like that. And well, we had to do some calculations like how much will this cost us if we're not getting reimbursed? And the answer was approximately $1.5 million a year just to test our unvaccinated employees. That's a big figure. Well,
Yes.
Since then, that federal reimbursement has been extended. I don't know how long yet, but I don't know how long, but it's at least a number more months. So we're in good shape with that. And if it does come to the point where that expires, we might need to rethink the whole thing, but that's in the future.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
hope that money doesn't run out, because I would be advocating for charging anyone who's unvaccinated for their testing.
Yeah, so that comes up a lot, and it's possible that unions would not allow that there would be a term of employment, and this gets very quickly
Right.
down what I understand. But
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully we'll get to that.
Right, exactly.
And I'm from our attorney. He has said that this is a condition of employment. So under the Fair Labor Standards Act, the town, somebody needs to pay. The employee cannot pay for it, cannot be held responsible. So I think that's right. And I thought it was December 31st That's what I thought I had heard, that it had been extended until at least then. So the county's resolution does not, this is a question, does it not? So I guess, yeah, to clarify, so what I last understood is the county's resolution, or this would allow employees of municipal governments to cooperate or to collaborate or join with this program. If the federal funding ran out, what you said earlier was that then we would probably have to rethink how the funding would work. Is that right?
I mean, I think that's true. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
we actually, the county had already committed to doing this, even with the possibility that the funding was about to run out. We're obviously really glad it didn't run out. But yes, I guess if the funding runs out, we would have to rethink it.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm looking at I happen to be looking at the resolution right now, and it, you know, I assume we're talking about the same resolution. Here's one of the whereases. Tompkins County is committed to providing testing for members of the Tompkins County community, including all Tompkins County municipal employees. So I think that covers what you're saying.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's not the same as our resolution. That's the one you guys are going to be considering. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Mark, should our resolution include elected officials as well as employees? Would be tested weekly, and also, you know, I just like to, you know, everybody would be tested weekly
Yeah.
until.
I intended it to say, I know in some things I've written, I don't see it here, but I had put personnel in order to indicate that. So I agree with that.
I do too.
So perhaps,
I mean, I'd go
would
just get
that
myself.
be an adequate wording
weekly.
change?
Excuse me?
If I just put if I change employees to personnel,
Yeah.
does that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I feel I could just go through the regular, you know, county testing that's free and wouldn't be billed to the town. And
So in the resolved, I'm changing employees to personnel. I'm going to put town personnel. Another, as I've been thinking about this, Dan, has there been any just, you know, I know it came up in the county call, the last county call about, you know, Frank said he recommended 2 times a week based on the incubation period of the virus, like 3 to 5 days. And, you know, 2 times testing a week just seems like an awful lot. Is there any consideration of, I mean, it would have the cost to do it 1 time a week. And our employees, at least for the next few months, will be working 4 days a week. So I don't know. Any thoughts?
I agree with you on that.
I think the thinking was twofold. One is medical, you know, it is safer to do it twice a week. And I think, and maybe no one said this out loud, but I don't mind saying it out loud. I think part of the purpose of this program is to nudge people to get vaccinated, right? We're going to make it a little uncomfortable for you, and we want you to get vaccinated. So I think that's why we're part of the other reason. So you though, this resolution and your resolution, you know, you can do whatever you decide in 10. That's just for county employees.
Right. Okay. Great. And yeah, I know there was discussion of you know, doing batch, you know, and the employees somebody would be the drop-off person to reduce impact on employee time. So I'm interested in that kind of a policy and figuring out how we can make it efficient, make, you know, submitting these tests an efficient process. But so anyway, and I do want to, does somebody have a question? I really am so appreciative of the county for, you know, leading on this. It's extremely helpful. So.
Thanks.
I guess I will just comment that what I was going to say is I think it's important to, we're not we're not a public health authority, and it's not our role to be making policy decisions around health. So, if the recommendation is twice a week or 20 times a week or whatever it is, like I feel very strongly that it's not really within our role to decide that we don't want to do that. We're either following guidelines from health officials or not, and we're not those officials.
Totally agree. Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree too.
Does that mean that we're going to twice a week?
Yep. Twice a week is what
We have, right?
that's what the county that's the policy of the county. Yep. Great. So I did make a couple of little wording changes. Any other thoughts or questions or feedback from Dan? Great.
I guess the only other question that I have regarding this in terms of application is whether we're going to recommend a certain lag time between the tests. In other words, it probably wouldn't be that effective if somebody got their tests on Monday and Tuesday, for example, instead of spacing it out.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking that could be part of the process that I work out, that this authorizes me to work out with the county. So yeah, I agree totally. Can't just get tested on Monday and Tuesday and be done. So okay, well, thanks everybody for your thoughts and thoughts and input on all this. So if there's nothing else, I'm going to call for a vote. Great. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great. Thank you. And I will, I do want to, I did let you know briefly in a note, but I did talk to Bob about this and he is supportive of it. And so, great. Thanks very much. All right. I will now offer a resolution to proceed with the bioretention project at the town hall. And so this is something we've looked at before, so I'll just read it quickly. Whereas in 2019, the town of Caroline committed to a bioretention feature at the town hall grounds and received a $6,000 grant from Soil and Water. Whereas the feature would support the town's goal of constructing a beautification feature at the town hall. Whereas the bioretention feature would buffer stormwater runoff and promote infiltration and purification of groundwater. Whereas the bioretention feature would provide a model for responsible management of stormwater at a prominent location for individual property owners and businesses. And whereas John Anderson and Don DeHarner have produced engineered plans for the bioretention feature at the town hall, therefore be it resolved. The Caroline Town Board hereby authorizes the supervisor to work with Tompkins County Soil and Water to define a planting plan and proceed with project construction. So do I have a second on that? Seconded by Catherine, and discussion.
Do we know what the project would cost?
Jesse was astute enough to remind me that we had a file on this, so we pulled out the old bids, and I think we got 3 or 4 bids. And you remember the whole project for the town hall grounds had like 4 different components.
Right.
But for retention, it ranged from $12,000 to $20,000 for the work. I did speak to Bob today about the possibility of highway facilitating the work. And he said he would he would like to be part of this discussion if he's going to be asked to do the work. I will tell you, I don't. He was very opposed to doing it, and so he doesn't feel like it's an effective site for bioretention. He just doesn't support it, and so my feeling is, if he
Concept or
doesn't,
just not to have them have the role to do it?
say that again, please.
Doesn't support it in just the concept generally, or doesn't feel it's appropriate for highway to do it?
No, the former. He doesn't think it's a worthwhile expenditure of money, and he thinks something like this would be more effective elsewhere, and that he said that if that was part of the project, they would have sloped the parking lot differently. The water does go to the west edge, and I think it could be something that the TG Miller could look at, but I don't think it's a stretch to think that water could be conveyed to a feature there. So I guess my question is, I think, if I don't, if Bob doesn't support it, then, I guess he doesn't support it. Would you like to, shall we table this until we can have a discussion with Bob at the next meeting?
Could the monies be used elsewhere?
I don't know. If it possibly, if it was a bioretention feature, I think.
Yeah.
I guess I'm seconding this with the assumption that this is a necessity. So forgive me for maybe prematurely, I am like this and what we thought we understood about what's necessary, but if that's in question.
Oh, that it's necessary to be done at the town hall?
Like at all. Like what you're saying is that Bob's feedback is it's not necessary at all. I mean, I wish he were here. If he had said that, I probably would have paused.
What he said in our conversation was that he thought there were better places to put in a feature like this. And that's certainly very plausible. I don't disagree. The original proposal from Soil and Water from John Negley was he thought it would be really nice to have something like this at the town hall where people could see it. You could have a display that would explain what it does, and it would encourage people to do things like this at their houses or their businesses. So that's why they were interested in going to the effort of obtaining the state money to support our project. And I think it would be a cool project for that reason, and a lot of others. I mean, I think it came down to we decided not to do it when Highway did the whole grounds project, but we've never formally made a decision about returning the funds. So we've had the funds for a while, and John, he said, he had said, I hope we can make this work. So I guess I just felt like it's time to either commit one way or the other to say we can make this work and we think it's a great thing, or we'll return the money to the state.
I think if we go ahead with it, we want somebody that's done one of these before, and just we'll make it work so that it's a project that does look nice, and just it's more than digging a hole in the ground and filling it with rocks, and so.
Right. So
I think if we go ahead with it, we have a contractor who's got references, or reference through Soil and Water to get this done and done right. And Bob mentioned the runoff from Bald Hill Road that comes down into Weber Lane, and I know that's been an ongoing problem for a long time because there's a culvert up there that dumps water right into somebody's backyard. And I've seen, water up their basement 2 feet.
Right, that's a different project, but I agree with
Exactly.
you. We'd want
Exactly.
somebody to do it right.
Yep.
And we had 2 different engineers, we have engineered specifications for this, and the original plan was that, TG Miller would oversee the installation and make sure the mulch mixture was as per design standards and things like that. So I think it's a great, if we can find someone who's really familiar with this, that would be awesome. But I mean, talking to Angel Heinickel, I mean, she said, this is not rocket science. This is not, we would, you construct it the way it's supposed to be constructed, with a layer of sand and a permeable membrane or whatever, and the right soil mixture, and then put your plantings in. So anyway, but so.
I mean, we've been talking about doing plantings ever since we did this project, and
Before.
with Highway doing it, that was a really helpful stopgap measure for us. Saved us an awful lot of money. And it would seem to me that if we can do this by retention feature, economically supported partially by the grant, and then turn it into an educational venue for the town, that would be a win-win for all of us if we can do it that way.
Mhm.
I agree with that. I hear Bobby's concerns, and certainly any concerns you might have in terms of, what they did with the parking lot perhaps could be incorporated into whatever we do next to mitigate anything he's concerned about. But I don't see why we wouldn't listen to someone with expertise from soil and water.
Yeah. So, but I sense that, maybe, we should table this until we can
Yeah.
have Bob here to talk about it. And
Yeah, I definitely
And-
would like to get his input. I value that.
But, and then just, because it did come up, the Bald Hill Road, it's now a town issue, is to ask Soil and Water to look at that Weber Road, that culvert that takes water from the side of Bald Hill and dumps it down in the back of Weber Lane. I'd like to see that, something addressed on that over, one thing deserves another, but
yeah, you're
yeah, no, it's a good idea,
that's another
preventing this-
task. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's either or. I think, they're both worthy
Correct.
things.
Yeah, yeah. So let's table it for right now. That'd be my suggestion.
Okay. So I guess I'll call for a vote to table the resolution. So I can't remember if that's how you do it or not, or do you just table it?
Yeah. Seems appropriate.
Okay.
I believe it just tables.
It just tables. Okay.
I believe so. It's been a
Yeah.
while since we've done it though, so.
I need my cheat sheet here, but anyway, we won't take a vote on it. I'll bring it
Be
forward
happy
later.
with
So,
moving forward with this one.
yeah, there's no vote on it, so nothing's happened. So
Yeah, and I guess I'd like to know from Millers or whoever, just how disruptive it would be or not be. It sounds like it's not anything very disruptive. The
to do the
pile
project.
retention, yeah, in the front yard here.
I will share the engineered plans with you guys later. So
Okay,
you can
cool.
look at it. You can see the extent of it and everything. So yeah.
Apparently you had motion to table. I've just looked this up.
Say that again. It's just a motion.
Apparently you motion to table.
Okay. I'll offer a motion to table. So, thank you, parliamentarian.
Article 5, Section 28.
Great. Okay. And now I thought I would present my budget work. So yeah, and I was actually speaking of process. So the presentation of the tentative budget. This is I'm reading from a Town Topics article. So anyway, I'm going to present what I have right now, and we can talk through it. And then I will, I may revise things, a little bit. The tentative budget has to be submitted by the supervisor by the 30th of September. So it's not late yet. And anyway, so based on what I was thinking is based on, I basically be sort of reviewing the tentative budget tonight with you. And then I go to, then I'll, get it on Jesse's desk after Velvet puts it in Williamson. And we can go ahead with starting our budget discussions to keep the budget process moving. So that's what I'm thinking for process. And so what we normally do is just to review our budget process. So the tentative budget goes in, and then we schedule budget discussions with departments or whatever, go over that. And then the town board votes on any changes to the tentative budget, and the final approved version of that becomes the preliminary budget. And then we schedule a public hearing to present the preliminary budget to the public. We receive feedback, and then the board votes and the board may revise that preliminary budget based on feedback, and then votes on that to become the adopted budget, which we have to do by November 20th. So my goal this year is to be a little bit earlier than usual, and I think we're in good shape so far. So now,
The trial balances on this year's budget look good.
they do. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay. Okay, great. I think this is all good. So I'll just talk through this and point out the major decisions that I made. So what I did for non-union personnel was offer a 4% wage increase, with the rationale that represents basically last year's cost of living adjustment plus this year's 2 years worth of cost of living adjustment. So so those are the 0.1 lines in this spreadsheet, and those should be up 4%. And then what I did for each contractual line, which is the 0.4 lines, those are material purchases. Then I looked at what was spent in the last year, and then I looked at what was adopted last year in 2021. And then I might make a decision to go up or down or whatever. So, so those are, so for the town board lines, those are how the numbers came out. I left the contractual line the same. For the justices line, just because it's been a point of friction, I listed their requests here in this column. And here, the green column is the one, is my budget. I also, as for other positions, I gave the justices and the clerk a 4% wage increase. The other lines, so for equipment, they put in a $6,000 equipment line, which if there's a reason for it, I'm willing to do, but there was no reason given. And I assume it was based on the adopted budget in 2021, which means that we already raised tax revenues for whatever that equipment was, which I believe was might have been the security system. And so I didn't think we should raise taxes again. We can, if that money is needed, we can take it from fund balance. And then for the contractual, they again asked for 7,400 based on the adopted budget in 2021. I looked at expended through August 31st and projected through the year and budgeted down a little bit at 5,000. They asked for 2,000 with the argument that jury trials have increased. But again, if there's a jury trial and if the cost is greater than 1,000, then we have fund balance that's been unused to cover that. So I felt like these were reasonable numbers. So that's where I went with that. The supervisor's line, again, 4% increases. The reason that the bookkeeper line is down is based on the Velvet is working typically 18 hours a week. So I based it on, and that's lower than was projected when we originally hired her. So I made that adjustment. Contractual, I knocked down 500. The town clerk, pretty much the same. I went through this with Jessie, and she suggested based on expenditures, maybe putting this here. We could increase that if we felt like it was prudent. Legal, 20,000 is our typical number for Guy. I left it there. Anticipating that union negotiations could go past the first of the year, I budgeted 3,000 there. Engineering creeks, I increased it by 5,000 based on our expenditures to date and our projected for the end of the year. And that is something we often spend money on. So we'll probably be putting in grants next year to the state for water projects. So I felt that TG Miller would be doing that work and we would need funds for that. This is our stream gauge grant. So that's just contractual. Records management is really low as per the town clerk's recommendation. Public information stayed the same. Town hall, cleaning and maintenance, I increased those both significantly based on expenditures to date. So Ida and Richard are both putting in more time and doing more work at the town hall than previously has been done. I increased the equipment line, and I made a note here anticipating that we might want to, Richard uses his own old lawnmower right now, and the idea came up of perhaps having a town mower that he could use, and an electric riding mower maybe. Then you can get those for not too much. So, and we would probably need to have something to store it in. So we'd probably have to put up a little shed or something to store it in. So I budgeted up there a little bit.
Are there any funds that go to the person using his own equipment in terms of upkeep of that piece of equipment?
Say that again, Catherine. I didn't catch all that.
Are there any funds that go to the person who's using his own equipment in terms of upkeep of that piece of equipment?
Yeah, I've told Richard to bill us for consumables, for his fuel and maintenance. So yeah. So those are just included in his personnel line, I think. So, but his costs have been ridiculously modest. So, but that's a good point. That I think I should speak with him to kind of get a better handle on what exactly that number is, and that number would belong in the contractual line, the 1620.4. So I think that's a good point.
I just might not make that person request it. Would be my recommendation.
Well, I mean, oh, okay. So you mean just provide, so I guess the problem is knowing what the amount is. So like,
I mean, having a conversation I think is good, but I'm just suggesting maybe having that be part of whatever the compensation is of that position, rather than like requesting that the person's, submit it on a regular basis. I paid for this, I paid for that.
I see. I gotcha. So you're
All right.
thinking, taking that.
I'm
into
brand new.
consideration.
I don't know how this works. I'm just putting in my
No.
2 cents about he's
No.
using his own thing, and it's putting someone in a funny spot to be like, tell me how much we should pay you, for someone who's probably going to be like very generous with their time.
I
Oh, so
agree.
that's-
I agree with the spirit of that, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but just let me yeah. So the process is that, we offered Richard the job at a living wage rate. And then I told him to, provide me, like we would for anybody, to say, give me the invoices or the receipts for any costs you incur. So it's not I'm not asking him to say, what are you worth or whatever. But I do agree that, I mean, if we wanted to, we could adjust the wage rate to say, I don't
I mean,
know.
I think in the past, we had contracted with professional mowing services to bring their
Right.
equipment to do the job.
Yeah,
I just think at this stage of the game, we just say we like this relationship. We're going to provide you with the equipment so that you can do the job properly and be done with it.
exactly. I agree. Great. Okay, good. Thank you. Is that good? So that's there. Yeah, I just kept the general line the same. Same for IT support. Now, why did I do that? Yeah, I think this one's gonna have, I think this one should be adjusted, so. So the IT support should perhaps be adjusted to this number or something close to it. I'll probably do that. Here's our town hall capital reserve for town hall expenses, town barn. The same number we typically budget. Print mail is up significantly because of the quarterly newsletter. Insurance was recommended to go up 6%, so I budgeted that way.
Mark, quick question.
Yep.
I like that we're doing the quarterly newsletter, and I agree that we should have a print copy. I'm just curious, have we gotten any feedback about it?
Yeah, I've gotten some very positive feedback about it. Yeah,
Mhm.
people do like it. And we do, I think, we post it on the website as well. So,
Right.
yeah.
Good. I was just curious.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying is that if people are just putting it in the recycling, we would want to
Right.
know, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
And I just add with all of the new planning work that we've been doing, from the comprehensive plan to the zoning commission, having this regular reportage via the newsletter has been really helpful, especially as people have been concerned about open meeting law and all of this. I mean, it's just been another avenue that we've been able to utilize
Mhm.
to keep the public informed. So I'm very pleased we're doing this right now.
Yeah, I've been really happy with it too. And
All the plantings at the town hall could carbon offset some of our printed material.
I'm going to go ahead and change. Whoops. Yeah, I'm changing that number. Moving right along. There's dog control. Dog control did come up today in the shared services conversation, so that was another one. Safety inspection, again, budgeted up. Just yell if you see something that strikes your curiosity. Yeah. I probably will need to speak to Bob about this, but for the highway assistant, I budgeted down based on the projected through the year. I don't know. You have to see how that goes. And anyway, I think I think that's worth a conversation. So that'll probably be Bob. And this one, I budgeted down based on what's been spent so far and projected through the year. So I'll have to follow up with Bob on that one as well. Highway engineering, the same. Garage equipment, the same. Garage contractual, the same. Food pantry budgeted at our 3,000, TCAD 250. Youth summer employment, ignore this one. This is a pass through. This number is completely meaningless. So I don't budget anything there. It'll be zero. Youth services, this is just based on, this is the Joint Youth Commission and the Rec Partnership. So there's the numbers there. Library is the same as always. Historians numbers were all the same. I did provide a 4% increase for both Barb and Jen. Well deserved. Programs for aging, that pays for this senior dinner at the end of the year, and they usually don't use nearly all of it. Planning, I didn't do a lot of thought on this, but it seems like the 20,000 that we typically budget is about right. Nan is doing a lot of the work this year on this year's budget, and I think 20,000 will cover the remainder. So conservation contractual, this is mostly for the Community Science Institute. They're requesting 3365 next year.
Mark,
Yeah,
we go back to planning for just a second.
do what?
I'd like to go back to planning for just a second. And this is
Yep.
just something for us to think about with all the work that's being done right now in that area.
Mm-hmm.
We may want to put a little more either in that line or in our legal budget in case there are things that need to be researched, which I would anticipate. And I guess now would be a good time to do it as opposed to in the reverse. And so just something I want to offer to the group to think about.
Oh, no, I think you're right. I think I'd steer it towards legal probably,
Mhm.
or with the understanding that we could adjust it between the two, but
We can easily
realistically
adjust it between the
speaking-
two.
I mean, realistically speaking, I mean, Nan is budgeted to, her proposal was, I think, through March. We can't anticipate what's going to happen really in terms of response, and maybe we're going to have her working through the summer. I mean, you know, depending, to help us, and then to help us finalize
Yeah.
the final zoning thing that we would do. So I
Mhm.
think you're right, John, that maybe we should be prudent in this regard. And maybe think of at least another 10 for planning, if not combined with legal. We're certainly going to have more legal costs also.
Mhm.
Yeah, 10 was the number I had in my head too, Tim.
Yeah,
To add on. 30,000 total. Is that right?
I think that would be prudent.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I appreciate that.
And we know that we're then not going to be spending that much after this cycle also
Right.
planning.
Good. Thank you for that. I think that's a good idea. All right. Moving down, cemeteries. Any cemetery costs this year, Cal? I noticed
We're
a
gonna
huge,
have some this fall with with the Central Chapel Road Cemetery. There's some more tree work that needs to be done there.
yeah,
And also, I think that the mowing that gets done should be charged to cemeteries.
oh yeah, we're not doing that. You're right.
No, so that-
Richard doesn't break it up. Yeah, I gotcha. You're right.
so,
Yeah. Okay. Hey, that's great because that, okay.
yeah, that would help that line. And if,
Exactly.
and if we're going to buy some equipment for the, if Richard could use it on cemeteries, and then, a portion could be prorated to the cemetery line.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. I noticed a huge headstone in the town hall the other day that looked old, and I saw Greg and bringing it in, helping with some other people. Do you know about that? Is that to be restored or something, or?
I haven't heard about it, no.
Okay.
I
Anyway,
wouldn't be concerned, Mark, unless your name is on it, right?
okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it was
being
intended for
restored.
me. What's that?
It is being restored.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, okay. I left community services the same. Pay no attention to this number. That's from the payment to Lee Hafley that came from a reserve account. So it not relevant really. Yeah, I think this is going to be zero. I'm going to have to see where the Clean Energy Communities grant is as we go forward. But yeah, so I think it's going to be zero. I haven't really thought through why this retirement number is way up. It has to be changes in town personnel with retirement system accounts. So it's gone way up this year. Yeah. The other lines, the health insurance lines were calculated based on a 5% premium increase. I think they're pretty accurate.
Mark, I have a question about that. That's probably not for right now, but I can just
Yeah,
put a pin in it for, is there some list, I should probably know this, I just don't know, who all is eligible for health insurance among town employees? Is it everyone? Is it full timers? Do you have to work a certain number of hours? How does that work?
yeah. It's full timers. It's full timers who are budgeted at 30 hours or more a week. So right now it's the code officer, the highway superintendent, the highway employees. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
And not Jesse.
Yeah, I think,
Jesse, are you full time? Or isn't Jesse full time? No.
yeah, just so that we brought that up the other day. So, so yeah, so, yeah, so Jesse is, yeah, essentially eligible for health insurance. But she gets it through her husband's policy. So,
And didn't we determine the last time that the supervisor is also eligible?
I don't think we did that.
Oh, I thought we did.
I'm pretty sure we can look at the personnel handbook, but
Yeah, well, we can just look at that. I just can't remember, but I'm pretty sure I remember discussing it.
oh, really?
Because I
Okay.
think it always seemed to me to be weird.
Okay.
that the
It could
supervisor
be.
wouldn't
We
be
should
eligible.
look what the policy says. My whatever you call it, my record of activity hours is at 34 a week. So by that measure, it would qualify. But I would not take health insurance because I'm 66 years old. So
I mean, I'm asking only because that would change the numbers if, let's say, we had another employee who decided they wanted to enroll, right? That would need to.
yeah. Yep.
No, and Catherine, when we redid the staff manual, the last year, the year before, was it, Mark? We actually made some adjustments with these benefits and increased the availability of them. And we did so with the realization that we could potentially get caught short if more people than currently request them, but that just hasn't happened.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, we've with that personal handbook change, we're trying to make a more consistent, rational policy for benefits like that. So
Thanks. Sorry for the interruption.
no, definitely good question.
No, and just so you know, Catherine, one of the concerns we had at that time is that it took no consideration into part-time employees. And we provided, I can't remember how we did it, but we at least provided them an option to buy into insurance they didn't have before. With the understanding that we want to try to attract the best Caroline residents to stay and work in the town.
Yeah, and we also redefined full-time as 30 hours or more. All right, so moving along, here are the A fund revenue lines, which are pretty straightforward. We have one payment in lieu of taxes. This comes from Fountain Manor. And then these other numbers, I just keep them in there from year to year. So this is, and typically you want the revenue numbers to be a little bit conservative. Otherwise you'll short yourself. And so here's the franchise fee. It always comes in about there. So that's, yeah. And this is workers' comp for the fire companies. Watershed, here's the stream gauge revenue. So these are revenue lines because for both Slaterville and Brooktondale, we cooperatively procure workers' comp. So the town buys it and then they each pay back their share. So that's what that is. And the same thing for the stream gauge on 6 Mile Creek, Tompkins County Soil and Water, the town of Dryden, and the city of Ithaca are all partners. And so that amount represents what they pay us back for holding the contract with USGS for that stream gauge. And these are all the numbers that Jesse reported tonight, the kinds of numbers that come into the town hall. Here's the mortgage tax, and it is low by a lot. And this is, well, I don't know, anyway, my predecessor did this and I followed suit to keep it conservative there. So that provides a buffer of revenue that, so it could be that we might want to sharpen that up to increase that to, I don't know, 50,000 or something based on what past years have been. Okay, that's the A fund. That's a general fund. Now we're at highway. And so personnel services for highway, I budgeted those lines up at 1.5%. And my thinking there was that was it doesn't really determine their wage rate. What determines their wage rate is the contract, the union contract. And so this is just sort of a baseline to go from, and what it ends up being will be what comes out of the wash during our contract negotiations. Okay, what did I do here? Wow, I'm gonna have to look at that again. That looks low. Contractual.
Have we had any luck getting an equipment committee going?
Not that I'm aware, and I don't think any meetings have been scheduled, and a committee has not been put together yet. So I'm probably gonna put this one back where it was. I'm not quite sure why I had that number in there. I suspect that I hadn't updated the projected through year column. So this is gonna make a difference to the budget. So there we go, okay. Okay, so here's another thing to not worry about when you're looking at the budget sheet. DA 5112.2 is the expenditure line for highway improvements that are submitted to the state for CHIPS reimbursement. So this number can be anything, and there's just an equivalent number in the revenue line. And then I can always make a budget adjustment in the year depending on what we actually get. And we typically have to do that. But so here's the number I have in the budget sheet, in this budget sheet. So this looks similar. This is the equipment line. So I budgeted, my original number was 130,000. So last year I boosted it to 180,000. And I think that's not sustainable. So I put it down to, I put it lower, and I increased it to 142 after talking to Bob. I think it's I think it's reasonable. We'll see. This number I put at 50 based on projected through year number for contractual. Same here. That's the same as last year. Snow removal, pretty similar. So that's all. Here's the benefits. Retirement here is more, doesn't go all over the place. Social Security is up a bit. This is wrong. So that we have a 2-year agreement of workers' comp rates, so that those should be equivalent. So I just changed it to be so. Medical insurance, this was by calculation based on the premium changes. And then here, the revenue accounts and highway. This is for DA 2300 is the county pays the town for providing snow removal services on the county roads. So this is the number I put in. Again, it can be adjusted with mutual revenue and expenditure line adjustments later on if they provide us more. Sale of equipment is what Bobby said he projected. He projected 60,000. And let's see, state aid, 247,568. So that's the ECRUS project that's still outstanding. We have a grant for that, and that should be matched somewhere. There it is. It's matched here in this DA 50. So that's the expenditure account, and that other one is, so those should zero out when the project's done. And then there's the CHIPS number again. So, okay, so that's my whirlwind through the budget spreadsheet. And then don't worry about all that stuff. Okay, so I haven't gotten budgets actually from the fire departments. So I just used 2%, which is what they typically do. So here for the Speedsville contract, I budgeted up 2%, Brooktondale 2%. And this is the Speedsville workers' comp. We pay for Speedsville's workers' comp. And so I kept that the same as last year. All of these things are, yeah. This one, I'm probably going to want to budget down, I think, based on, so this number is going to be lower because of our street light conversion. You can see where the number is this year and where it's coming out. So that one I will probably adjust down. I would say something like that. And okay, so these are street lights, so that has to be, that would be similarly. Okay, so that's the street light, Caroline Street, the street light account, and then this was the Caroline fire protection. So, so all of those, I guess I'm going to go down here first. This is my, you know, my tax levy spreadsheet. So once you, so I've just been able, from what I just presented you, I can calculate, you know, the appropriations that are expected and the revenues. And so then that lets us know what we need to raise. So based on that, so the 2000, yeah, okay. Yeah, yep. So the 2022 levy at this point, after going through this tonight, is $57,518 more, it's a 3.15% change. So that comes out to 0.35% above the tax cap. So the tax cap is 1,1884, 874, and this is the levy that we just calculated based on those changes. And not to worry, you can see at this point that I haven't put any numbers in for application of fund balance to offset the levy. So at this point, the minimal we would want to do is like, you know, $7,000 to put us under the tax cap. So that's, I would propose that as a minimum to adjust to make sure we stay under the tax cap. These are this is my fund balance table. So, and let me walk you through this because it gets kind of gnarly, but it's not that bad actually. So, so this is the highway garage improvements, the highway barn improvements line. The balance of that reserve account was $322,314 at the end of August. The remaining balance in the expenditure line, which is A1620.44, is $56,675. So that's there. And then I budgeted 65 for next year. So what this shows is that during the calendar year 2022, there'll be $443,989 available for highway garage improvements in both in the expenditure line plus the reserve account. So, yeah. Town hall improvements, current balance 49,137 for the reserve account and 30,000 in the budget line. So that means that combined with next year's budgeted amount, there will be $109,137 available for town hall improvements. And I think there are some important town hall improvements that we want to tackle next year. For the A fund balance, currently, the balance is $544,268. The spreadsheet we went through just shows a deficit of $32,910 projected by the end of the year. I suspect that's going to come out in the wash, but I use that number now. So if that's true, then the fund balance would be $511,358. Our fund balance policy, recommends that we keep fund balance between 15 and 20% of budgeted expenditures. That would be 130 to 175,000. So we're well over that. We're that much above the 20% number. So the A fund balance is very healthy and should not be grown a lot more than that. The highway equipment reserves are currently at 37,434. The expenditure line, DA 5130.2, is currently at $131.20. So that's what's currently available for highway equipment. And then next year I budgeted, actually, I changed that. So I need to change that right now. That's, yep, that's better. So the next year's budget will be that. So this is going to be spent this year though, because we're buying a loader and a 1-ton. And so that's going to cost $223,664. The funds available in the reserve account and the expenditure account is $168,454. So $55,210 is going to come out of fund balance. So that's why that's there. So yeah, that's, yeah. And so here's the DA fund, the highway fund balance, currently $488,649, projected for the next year. Let's see. Oh, this is my spreadsheet number. This is what, you know, also I think this is going to move by the end of the year, the 254,761 number. I think that's going to move by the end of the year and be smaller, but right now my spreadsheet's showing a huge surplus in the highway fund by the end of the year, which that's a lot. So, and then if you expend the 55,000, what you come out with is 688,200. You can see that the highway fund balance should be between 277 and 370,000. And the difference there is 318,200. So there's significant fund balance. You know, there's significant fund balance above our 20% threshold available both in the A and the DA fund. So, and our overall, we're at 46.6% of budgeted expenses for fund balance. So I think that's important to keep in mind that, you know, those are funds that can be used for important projects.
Mark, I'll just mention, just remind everybody that last year we had a strong concern that the fund balance was too low.
Yep.
So it was hovering at 15%, so that if we can keep it at 20, that'll be much better.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's much better. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, so that's, I think that's, yeah. So I'm gonna work on this a bit more and fine tune this. I'm open to suggestions and recommendations. Any thoughts right now?
Overall, this looks on track to me. Obviously, I need to sit with it and let it
Yeah.
percolate, but this
Yeah.
looks on track.
Yep, me too.
The thing that strikes me is, you know, these fund balance numbers are large. So I'm, you know, I'm checking and rechecking them. And it's easy for, you know, so, but they match, you know, they match what the bookkeeper has in her records. And so I think we have significant funds. And so I think we have a good case for a very modest, you know, tax levy. So. Any questions about all that or concerns or whatever? I'm going to stop sharing unless somebody wants to look at the spreadsheet. Great. All right. So if you think of stuff later, let me know.
And Mark, will you be having department heads come talk to us about their proposals as you've
Yeah.
done in the past?
So I talked to Bob about that and I suggested, I think the 20th of September. Oh, that's not very far away, is it? That's 5 days away.
3 days. 5 days.
Yeah. Or the 22nd. Would we want to meet that early, that soon to talk with him? The 22nd is a Wednesday. That was the preferred date. Can people do that?
Sounds good.
Hang on.
You mean having an extra meeting on that Wednesday night?
Yeah, it would. That's what we normally do. Have a special budget meetings to speak with each of the departments if they wish. So, or we.
You're talking next Wednesday?
Yeah, I am. Is that
I am not available. I have a class
Okay.
presentation at 7.
okay? Let's not do it then. I mean, the other thing we can do. Why don't we? Maybe it makes more sense since we are on the early edge of things. Why don't we schedule it into the October agenda meeting?
Like
Good
that.
idea. Good
That'll
idea.
work?
That's good.
Okay, let's do that so people can have sane lives. So great. Or
Sanity is overrated.
attempt to. Sanity's overrated. Great. Okay, that's a good plan. Is it okay if I move on to the next agenda item? Okay.
Please.
So we did get a petition from some people complaining about cars racing on their roads and stuff. So, and I had some, informative emails from Jeff Smith. He basically said, I guess you just request a traffic study for particular road sections. And then the county will consider it and then forward it on to the Department of Transportation. Takes about 3 months. They do a study and then they make a determination, so you make a request for a speed limit change on a particular road section. So when this came up, I think Tim might have first mentioned it, that it certainly makes sense to do this more comprehensively than for just one half-mile road section. There are probably a lot of roads that we would consider. And this, I think it was a TE9 form or something. So Jeff said there's just this TE9 form, you fill it out. And so I presume what you do is fill out one of these forms for each road section you want evaluated and submit it to the county. Yeah, Tim.
Yeah, can I just ask a question about this? So was it my understanding the last time we talked about this, that if there isn't a specific speed limit posted on a road, that the speed limit is 55?
That's correct.
Correct.
What would it be entailed for us to post
You-
a 45
If
mile
you
per
have-
hour speed limit across the town?
Mm,
Would we have to do the study or could we just do that? That seems like awfully high.
It does. And you've been driving way too slow, obviously. So,
No, it's 35 in a municipality, 55 outside of municipalities' borders, 70 on a highway. Is what it says. When it's not posted.
but what is the definition of a municipality? I think that is, if I think it has to be defined as a suburban neighborhood or something like that.
I would say we probably qualify as a municipality, wouldn't you?
Right, we certainly do, but I am pretty certain that like 76 Road, I'm pretty certain the speed limit's 55.
Oh, no, you're right. Yep. New York State legal limit if no posted.
So I will follow up because I thought I heard something that that's one thing you could do through zoning is more comprehensively establish speed limit regulations. But I'll follow up with Jeff to see, say we're interested in a more comprehensive townwide speed limit. It's certainly going to be exhausting to fill out a TE9 form for every little road.
And I could see, I could imagine the justification for faster speeds on a couple of roads, maybe 76, et cetera, but they're really not built for that speed. And you know what, we all know that everybody goes 10 miles an hour faster than the posted limit.
And
So if we could
honestly, I mean,
get it down to
76
45,
roads,
that will just be a lot safer for everybody.
yeah, I totally agree. And 55 is not appropriate for
No.
76 road.
No.
A lot of the old houses are right on the road. It's windy in a lot of spots. So yeah, I hear you.
So what you're saying is the road isn't named after its speed limit?
It's old speed limit.
Oh, right. Well, that's why it's old. Right, good point.
Does this address, though, I worry a little bit, this doesn't address the petitioner's immediate, request on that particular road. So I don't know in terms of like the timeline of doing it comprehensively, would it be helpful to pursue it?
Yeah. Well, we just, I mean,
parallel or whatever, because I just would hate to see that.
yeah,
It's just not.
that's a good point. I don't see any problem with filling out a TE9 form for land and road and submitting it to the county. So
We could get him a sheet of plywood and a can of spray paint.
where did you learn that, Cal?
Well, for you.
And, let's remember that we had the same concern expressed to us about, what's the matter with me? What's the main road going from Ithaca through which Irene Coddington Road. It was raised to us. Remember, Irene used to do this every year.
Yeah, it's true.
But I still, as somebody who worked on getting 79 changed to 45 through most of the town, it made a huge difference in terms of the safety of that road. I mean, astronomical difference. And my hunch is that if there was a traffic study, the number of accidents is probably decreased exponentially because of that. Because at that time, you might remember, we had like 6 different speed limits within a 2-mile radius, and which
really?
is floored. Yeah, and then it goes slow, and then they'd floor it, and it just wasn't a good scene.
Yeah.
And this has just made it constant. I mean, I can assure you, nobody goes 45 on 79, but at least they're not going 65.
Okay. I guess I'm going to follow up with Jeff Smith on this. We'll go ahead. I'm going to pull down the TE9 form and see, fill it out, and put it forward. So I may need to bring it back for a town board resolution or something like that. But
I mean, we also have to realize that probably some of the increased traffic on Landon Road and Lounsbury Road is because of the bridge.
They
So,
submitted that before the bridge.
They did it before. They did. It was before the bridge.
absolutely.
Okay. I thought it was right at the bridge.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep. Okay. Good. Thank you. All right.
I agree, there's a lot more traffic there now, for sure.
There must be.
Yeah, there is.
Hmm.
Coming down from Bald Hill, that's where you end up.
There's also a brand new paved road on Lansbury that allows people to really fly by. And then if they're really smart, they can cut up to the brand new paved road on Snyder Hill, which is beautiful. They can fly faster.
Yeah. That's the downside of a newly paved road, right? All right, I'm going to offer resolution for the following transfers. $1,500 from A 5132.2 garage equipment to A 5132.4 garage contractual. $6,000 from A 1990.4 contingency to A 9060.8 medical insurance, and $16,000 from DA 5112.1 highway improvements personnel services to DA 5110.1 general repairs personnel services. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Cal. And any questions about that? Just some tweaks in the spreadsheet. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. I will offer a resolution to approve the payment of vouchers in the amounts of $29,890.67 for the A fund, $47,587.11 for the BA fund, and $325.85 for the streetlight fund. Do I have it seconded by Tim? Any questions about that? And Jesse, you missed just some credit card account lines you're gonna get straightened out. Okay, great. Thumbs up. So, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Okay. And I think, so now I would like to offer a resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign the memorandum of agreement to provide the highway employees an HRA increase to cover the 2021 out-of-pocket expense increase.
I'd like to second that.
Seconded by Cal. Go ahead, Cal, then, if you'd like to. Good. Yeah. Okay, great. You got it. And I think you guys read the document. It's pretty straightforward, right? So
Yep.
Any concerns or questions? No? Okay. With that, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Great. I will sign it and return it tomorrow. Thank you. And then I will offer the September 7th minutes, agenda meeting minutes for approval. Does anyone have any feedback on those or questions? I'm hearing nothing, so the minutes of September 7th are hereby approved. And once again, we are grateful for those excellent minutes. So thank you, Jesse. And okay. Anything I've forgotten? Nothing? Okay. I'll offer a resolution to adjourn.
Second it.
Seconded by Cal, and all in favor? Aye.
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 Great, thanks, everybody. I guess we're done.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
A good one.
Yep, you too. Good
You
night.
too.
Yep, good night, take care.